Once upon a time, not so long ago, as a matter of fact, about a year ago, in a magical land far away, well, not so far away, really, that depends upon where you're located, doesn't it? Anyway, in this land resided 3 brave knights. These were especially loyal knights who served their monarch dutifully, maintaining order within the service realm. One day, the monarch summoned the companions to his chambers and posed a question of grave importance to the 3. "Where may the rewards for service excellence be found?" quoth the monarch. The good and learned knights cried as one, "At the grand table, sire." This, the monarch touched their shoulders with the sword of service excellence and spoke, "I confer upon you the order of Knights of the Grand Table and charge you with your quests. Accept the forthcoming challenges, take up the gauntlets that are thrown in your path, earn the coveted 1,000 points, and seek the place that harbors the fabled Grand Table." Immediately, the newly appointed Knights of the Grand Table prepared to set forth on their quests. This, then, is a brief and sometimes highly inaccurate recounting of their adventures along the way. At the first crow of the rooster, our adventurers set forth on their odyssey. They were Sir George of Todlingtown, champion of Centralia; Sir Frederick of Fairfield, protector of the peasants who dwell in the sleepy hamlet of Noddingout; and Sir Walter of Garden Grove, benefactor of the inhabitants of Krabacher. They engage in animated banter as they gaily trot along.
I say, Sir Frederick, is this not a jolly good endeavor?
I wouldn't have missed it for all the Saxon Saxony, Sir George. How about you, Sir Walter?
I want to dream the impossible dreams, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to go where the brave dare not go.
What a guy!
What a masochist!
And so, as Sir Walter vowed to fight for the right without question or pause, and to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause, the trio rode onward into the quickly approaching darkness.
Hark! What was that?
Night fell, and the 3 adventurers pitched camp on the rock and rolling terrain near the plain of Presley, and as they recounted the day's exploits, an eerie wailing assailed their ears.
Hearken, my companions, what might yonder wreck be?
Could it be a banshee?
What's a banshee?
You know, a something that wails eerily, something that...
Sir George continued fumbling with his explanation when suddenly there appeared a most interesting creature, obviously of elven extraction.
It's a midget!
Close, but no cigar. Little did Sir Frederick realize that he and his companions were about to be granted an audience with the fabulous Elf of Presley. The elf introduced himself round, and once he'd made himself known, the knights were sorely excited, for it was common knowledge that this cunning little creature harbored the secrets of service excellence. It was also known that if you were clever enough, you might trick him into divulging some of them. The knights were crafty and plied the little imp with deceptive questions.
What are the secrets of service excellence?
Where is Harbor Island?
What about this? If I have 2 apples and the train is traveling 90 miles per hour, how far is it to Bozeman, Montana?
Obviously confused and shaken by the wily interrogators, the elf responded to their questions in rhyme.
Charge your hours of service time, report your nickels and your dimes, 100 greckles, 2 points earned, the way to Harbor Island learned.
The clever knights deciphered the elven message immediately.
What's a greckle?
Well, almost immediately. A greckle is the local currency used by the inhabitants of the rock and rolling terrain near the plain of Presley.
How much is a greckle worth?
Let me see, roughly the equivalent of $1.
What's $1?
Learned in the School of High Finance, Sirs Walter and Frederick explained the value of $1 to Sir George.
Charge your hours of service time, $100, 2 points earned. Eureka! I understand the riddle. For each $100 of charged labor billed, we receive 2 points towards coveted 1,000.
Praise thee, wise Alpha Presley. How else may we earn the coveted points?
The sprightly poet continued.
Tally up your travel time, report your mileage as defined. For every $100 told, 2 points more towards your goal.
Hey.
Our heroes rejoiced to learn that 2 points could be earned for each $100 charged for travel time and mileage. Thankful for the valuable information, the knights showered the little fellow with accolades. They were also surprised and delighted to discover that despite a youthful countenance, the elf of Presley was well beyond the legal drinking age. And without much urging, the thirsty Lilliputian joined them as they partook of several libations. Soon, the over-imbibing travelers were fast asleep. And the elf, realizing that he was late for an engagement at the Keebler Club, bade them a fond farewell. Morning broke, none too soon for the enlightened knights who were eager to be on their way. Heeding the wise and wonderful advice imparted to them by the elf of Presley, the warriors spurred their mounts onward, charging thousands of dollars in labor, travel time, and mileage, earning multitudes of the coveted precious points. After many months of tedious travel, the embattled knights finally arrived in the land of new service contracts on equipment not previously covered under PMIA and maintenance agreements, a land otherwise known as the Wild Kingdom. Their skitterish steeds protested as they trod cautiously through the pristine wood. The forest was dank, dismal, and vaguely reminiscent of a cheap backdrop in a third-rate video production.
Cheap?
Suddenly,
Hold on, Fury. What's the matter, boys?
Buttermilk's acting strangely too. And her eyes are watering.
I detect an unusual odor.
Me too. Let's follow it.
and so they followed their noses to the source of the offensive aroma, and soon they happened on a boiling cauldron, tended by none other than Merlin. Yes, the famous Merlin Perkins, that is, wizard of the Wild Kingdom.
Who are you?
Weren't you listening to the narrator?
Yes, but
Tell him again.
Merlin Perkins, that is, wizard of the Wild Kingdom.
oh,
What are you doing, Wizard of the Wild Kingdom? Conjuring up a recipe of PMs, maintenance agreements, and parts sales.
Smells awful.
Wrong pot, Sir George. That's my lunch.
PMs, maintenance agreement, and part sales? What are those?
PMs and maintenance agreements are defined as new service contracts on equipment not previously covered. Part sales are those defined as parts sold on service reports and reported on the service performance analysis under the parts amounts billable column.
Might we utilize these things to gain entrance to Harbor Island?
Certainly.
how might we gain credit for these, Merlin?
For each $100 invoiced in PMs and maintenance agreements, you may earn 2 points.
Hooray!
And for every $100 in parts sold, you may earn 2 points.
Hooray!
And that's not all. For every $1,000 in orders written under the service sales program, you'll receive 1 bonus point.
The wizard then proceeded to divulge all the secrets for gaining PMIA, maintenance agreements, parts sales, and service sales points. The fascinated knights listened attentively, memorizing in detail every bit of information. Subsequently, Sir George spoke.
That's a wealth of important information, Merlin. I hope we can remember it all.
No problem. And along with your service tools, a reference book of Grand Club rules.
Gee, thanks, Merlin. A swell rules booklet to address all of our questions regarding point scoring for Grand Club membership.
Use it well, Sir Frederick, and heed the rules, and your grandest wish shall come true.
The knights thanked the wizard profusely for the valuable information, and in turn, the sorcerer offered to share his lunch with them. Having little appetite for chili, cheese dogs, and nachos, the knights graciously and wisely refused the invitation. Fearful that their host be offended by their refusal, and in retaliation banish them to the land of the jobless, the knights bade the wizard a hasty farewell. Months pass, and the way is difficult for the companions. But despite constant challenges, they consistently overcome and gain oodles of valuable points in PMIA, maintenance agreements, parts sales, and service sales orders. They push ever onward and occasionally discover evidence that Harbor Island and the fabled Grand Table are indeed close at hand. They continue to follow the signs, progressing to the exit at I-275, galloping their steeds southward toward Temperland. Cantering their mounts 2 blocks along the Grand Boulevard, and finally turning right to cross the bridge to Harbor Island. However, the entrance to the bridge was blocked and barred. Eager to cross over, the knights politely inquired as to the whereabouts of the gatekeeper.
Come on, we haven't got all day. This is what we pay taxes for.
And the words we hear most often,
Let's have a little service here.
their requests were answered in less than a heartbeat. Enter Bob, the troll, bait and tackle shop owner, manager of general maintenance, and gatekeeper of the Harbor Island Bridge. Bob, famed in troll circles for his matinee idol good looks, made a strong impression on the 3 travelers. He spoke to them in convincing tones.
This had better be good. What do you want?
We seek the place that lies yonder across the bridge.
Harbor Island? Har har! Many have sought the home of the legendary Grand Table, and many have failed.
We know not the meaning of failure. We have dreamed the impossible dream. We have fought the unbeatable foe. We have bared with unbearable sorrow. We have gone where the brave dare not go.
Bared with unbearable sorrow? Har har har! I suppose you fought for the right without question or pause, and perhaps been willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause too. Har har!
The bewildered knights watched in amazement as the incredulous Bob was seized with fits of laughter. He laughed and laughed till his eyes, all 3 of them, brimmed with tears. Finally, he regained his composure and spoke.
I don't care what miraculous deeds you've accomplished. You're not entering Harbor Island without paying the toll.
What toll?
No, you mean what troll?
What toll?
Har har har! The coveted 1,000 points.
The smug Bob was taken aback, his reverie shattered by the hilarious response of the 3 knights. Fearing for their existence, our heroes did just that.
What are you blokes laughing at?
It's not that we think you're stupid or that you look goofy looking, Bob. It's just that...
What Sir George is trying to say, Bob, that we have acquired more than the required 1,000 points to gain entrance to Harbor Island.
The suspicious Bob tabulated and retabulated the figures submitted by the group, stubbornly refusing to accept their fabulous success stories. Finally,
It's all here in black and white. You gained more than the 1,000 points required to enter Harbor Island.
the knights rejoiced. Their quest was nearly completed. The object of their quest lay but a bridge span away, Harbor Island and the fabled Grand Table. Embarrassed, the once gruff and discourteous Bob raised the gate for the celebrants. As they passed through, the red-faced Bob apologized for his brash actions. He continued by stating several reasons for his naughtiness. "I don't like my job at all," said Bob. "It's boring, and the pay is so paltry that I have to live under this bridge." Sounds like classic symptoms of job burnout to me, said Sir George. You should be a service person, said Sir Walter. The challenges and rewards are beyond compare. Perhaps I will, spake the excited Bob. And so the adventurers bade goodbye to their newfound acquaintance. The golden glow of Harbour Island began to envelop them as Sir Frederick called out to his new friend Bob. Others of our kind will be arriving soon, said he. I'll keep an eye out for them, said Bob lovingly. The knights of the Grand Table stepped lively across the bridge and were received to Harbour Island with a well-deserved hero's welcome. As part of the festivities, the inhabitants of Harbour Island presented the knights with monogrammed seat cushions for their seats of honor at the fabulous Grand Table. Comfortably ensconced in their places of honor, the knights received many rewards and much praise for their superior service efforts. The knights discussed between themselves the wondrous amenities provided for them.
This is too good to be true.
A virtual Shangri-La.
A just reward for dreaming the impossible dream, fighting the unbeatable foe, bearing with unbearable sorrow, going where the brave dare not go.
As they made plans for their next quest, Sir Walter and his companions unanimously agreed to drop the adjectives impossible, unbeatable, and unbearable from the lyrics. And they proposed a toast to all knights of the service realm, knights who, like themselves, had dreamed the dream, fought the foe, and yes, borne with occasional sorrow, and gone where the brave dare not go to achieve their quests. Membership in the 1986 Grand Club at Harbour Island.